Informational cognito-hazard warning. The following documentation is directly affected by an anomalous linguistic infohazard. Procedure Ptolemaic trepidation is now in effect. All unauthorized personnel will be terminated upon discovery. Level 4 access required. Initiate post-cerebral security procedures. Safety cognito-hazard interlocks disengaged. Authorized personnel be advised that you have been administered the Class 7 counter-mimetic safety mechanism codenamed 9th Sphere. This allows reviewing of SCP-1751 without prior knowledge of the Latin language. Please do not re-administer this mechanism without on-site medical approval and never more than twice within a 1-hour period.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Wicked Reading. Today I will be reading SCP-1751, Event Perception, Object Class, Keter. SCP-1751 is a fixed point in space-time, information about which can only be perceived in Latin. SCP-1751, as it is currently understood, appears to produce this effect through a proto-mimetic infohazard mechanism. Current ongoing research has proposed that the effectiveness of a counter-meme would suggest a non-mimetic source of SCP-1751's anomalous effects, though the method through which SCP-1751 manifests is poorly understood. Specifically, SCP-1751 is the entire year of AD, centered around the Mediterranean Sea. During this time, no known major historical events took place, though proximity to Nero's persecution of early Abrahamic sects have been noted. Foundation historians have put forth the idea that SCP-1751 is somehow related to the burned and the aftermath thereof, based on several writings in Foundation custody recovered from the remnants of the Library of Alexandria and analysis of the Dead Sea Scrolls. See excerpt 1751-A5 Delta for a relevant section from the recovered documents. When considered by any sapient, language-capable organism, their thought processes invariably translate into Latin whenever SCP-1751 is directly thought about. This presents in the same manner as non-anomalous multilingual perception. The subject appears to think in Latin whenever directly or indirectly thinking about SCP-1751. The effects of SCP-1751's manipulation of thought processes have included nausea, headache, loss of focus, and difficulty communicating, though these symptoms are considered a product of the subject spontaneously experiencing a Class Sigma shift in perception and not an additional manifestation of SCP-1751. Prolonged exposure to SCP-1751 has resulted in the degradation of Wernicke's area in the cerebral cortex, resulting in a cessation of understanding of all language except for Latin, and a complete inability to understand language in the long term. In extreme cases, tumor growth has been observed in patients with extended exposure to SCP-1751. It is theorized that SCP-1751 rapidly deconstructs and then rebuilds neuron connections within the language centers of the human brain. Additionally, subjects who have pre-existing knowledge of the Latin language have suffered decreased symptoms in relation to their level of fluency. Due to the fact that SCP-1751 appears to be an infohazard infection of a specific point in space-time and not simply text or some other human construct, containment of SCP-1751 has revolved around the suppression of public knowledge of it. Any sapient organism which considers SCP-1751 will experience its anomalous effects, regardless of location, intelligence level, local temporal anchor point, or otherwise. As such, all textbooks which include SCP-1751 have been confiscated, and their subsequent editions edited. Suppression of knowledge regarding SCP-1751 and a deliberate disinformation campaign have served to reduce public attention of SCP-1751's specific point in time to null values. SCP-1751 presents the danger of a GH-class dead greenhouse scenario, where only the most remote, media-inaccessible portions of humanity would survive. Small-scale containment breaches have been obscured in the past through acute carcinogen application and counterintelligence operations. Excerpt 1751-A5, Delta. And the gypsy woman cried to her gods, to save her burned kin, her children, bubbling at her feet. But man hath no ire like the gods, who took offense with her weakness, took it as an affront, and in their vanity, their splitting grins, they damned her shame to the everflows of time, and snatched her dying breath, nailing it to that malevolent clock, so that all of man might remember, understand, and revel in her pain. Footnotes 1. Testing with sapient, non-human subjects has yielded similar results. 2. In the cases of non-human, long-term test subjects, varying amounts of damage and rapidity of cell death were observed, likely based on incompatibility with human linguistic structures. 3. All subsequent sapient test subjects have shown 0% resistance to SCP-1751. It is not currently believed that any organism is by nature exempted from this. 4. 5 separate textbooks as of 2014. 5. Note: translation of abbreviated words and colloquialisms with no known Latin equivalent, or spoken as if unabbreviated or translated to the best approximate representation when affected by SCP-1751's anomalous effects. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1751 is currently contained through suppression of knowledge surrounding it. As SCP-1751 is not a physical object, and due to its unique circumstances, it cannot be fully contained. Protocol Vort's obfuscation is responsible for the full suppression of all media attention to SCP-1751. Foundation agents are to be embedded in every major media outlet to monitor for evidence of SCP-1751. Foundation historians reaped from universities globally are to use their influence to suppress any chance of SCP-1751 surfacing. All textbooks which mention SCP-1751 are to be confiscated and all copies destroyed. Subsequent editions are to be edited to remove all references to SCP-1751. Additionally, procedure Ptolemaic trepidation has been expanded to allow for an emergency activation system. Several Foundation low-orbit installations are equipped with a mass-release version of the Ninth Circle counter meme, to be administered globally in the event of a major containment breach. This should be considered a grace period, as Ninth Circle only delays the onset of critical symptoms of SCP-1751 exposure. In the event that knowledge of SCP-1751 becomes non-containable, Class O amnestic application is authorized.